What's going on, everybody? If you're seeing this page, that means the official Borderian and Reloaded merch store is now available. To get access to the store, make sure you go ahead and click the store tab on my YouTube channel. From there, you will be able to see all the merch that is available. We have mugs, shirts, hoodies, joggers, and so much more to come. All original designs made by yours truly, Borderian Reloaded. Now go ahead and get your merch today, and you can feel nothing in style. I know sometimes I often come on here and maybe off of here when I be telling people, how's your new neighbors, how are they doing? And when I say that, I'm talking about the not so secret invasioner or the south of the Borderian. But this one right here is actually pretty laughable, because you have these two people on your screen right here whose names are Jonathan Kubelin and Charlie Rodriguez. And the irony of it is the article that I'm reading from, which is CWB Chicago, they actually have a picture from Disney up there called The New Neighbor. How ironic, because I've been saying that for quite some time now, but apparently it's from an old Disney cartoon where it was literally titled The New Neighbor. So you have these two right here who were selling shoplifted merchandise outside of the shelter that I'm guessing they were staying at. Now, I already skimmed through some of the article, and I'm going to stop at the part that actually makes this hilarious, and you'll actually understand why I made the thumbnail the way that I did. Two Venezuelan south of the Borderians, because I'm not calling them migrants, have been charged with trying to sell shoplifted merchandise outside of a downtown Chicago shelter, and three other SOBs were recently arrested together after a sharp-eyed CTA employee noticed they boarded a bus with $2,000 worth of merchandise that still had shoplifting sensors attached. So you tried to sell items with the sensor still attached to it. So what you gonna do? You gonna set up the other person to take the fall? That is insane. Now, if y'all remember, I just did a video talking about two of them who stole items out of an Oak Brook Macy's, and they stole like $750 worth of stuff, and how they still had like the sensor tags are still attached to them and all types of stuff like that. I think I did another one where that was the same thing. It's a reason why they put them on there, and it's a certain device that the workers have to use to take those sensors off, because the regular person just couldn't take those off themselves unless they had the proper tools to do it. A CPD surveillance camera operator sent patrol cars to the 300 block of South Plymouth after they saw two male SOBs selling merchandise on Monday afternoon, according to the men's arrest reports. Officers detained Jonathan Kubelin, age 27, and Charlie Rodriguez, age 22, after noticing that their merchandise still had price tags attached from Burlington and Five Below, the reports said. Both retailers have locations near the Standard Club SOB shelter at 320 South Plymouth. That was an easy catch for them. First, you have the detector still attached to it. That's one thing. But you were trying to sell these items with the tag of the store that you stole them out of to people. Theft 101. Never leave the tag on the item in which you stole, in which store you stole it from. That's one of the first things you're supposed to take off is the tag. They left the tag on. The only time you really are supposed to leave the tag on is if you plan on returning the item to the store, or definitely have a receipt for it, which we know they didn't have because they stole it. And then on top of that, they were right near they did it near the shelter they were staying at, which was not far from the store in which they stole the items from. They're not too bright. Now you see why the thumbnail looks the way that it does. Burlington confirmed that the items with their tags attached had been shoplifted. A loss prevention officer at the store told police that Rodriguez is a known shoplifter, the report said. My thing is, how long has he been here, and how long has he been shoplifting for him to be a known shoplifter? Because when someone says someone is a known shoplifter, not a new one, but known, that means that they have a streak. So I need to know how long he's been doing this, and how long has he been here. That's crazy that he has this long streak of being a thief and hasn't even been here that long. I can, if I had to be a betting man, I would bet he hasn't been here for a year. It's just that now they finally caught him, but they have him on surveillance so many times. It's just that they probably can never catch him, but they got him now. Both men were charged with misdemeanor theft and cited for soliciting without a license. It is the second time Rodriguez has been arrested for shoplifting. Well, that answers one of my questions. For a related crime since arriving in our fair city. On October 14th, he was charged with shoplifting a pair of $250 Dolce & Gabbana pants from Nordstrom, 55 West Grand. Prosecutors dropped the case last month. Now y'all about to get under the classification of you big dummies. Why would you drop that? If you would have kept it on, you probably would have prevented him and this other guy from committing another theft. This time they took thousands of dollars, $2,000 worth of merchandise and tried to resell it to people. This guy took $250 worth of a pair of pants that were $250 and you dropped the case. See, this is the part that I keep telling you about. They are allowing them to come over here and get away with so much crime. Sure, it starts off with them just stealing stuff out of these department stores, but then it's going to escalate to something else. What's going to stop them from eventually leaving from those areas and then trying to break into people's homes? At that point, it's free range, because guess what? In people's homes, that castle doctrine is in place. What happens when you step across that threshold is entirely on them at that point. In a separate incident, 3 Venezuelan migrants, south of the Borderians, were arrested in the Loop on December 8th after a suspicious CTA bus driver called the police on them. The bus driver noticed the trio got on a CTA bus at State and Lake with clothing items that had security sensors on them without shopping bags, which seemed suspicious, an officer wrote in their arrest reports. Officers boarded the bus and detained former 1st District Police Station residents Guzbel Ascanio, Jose Rodriguez, and Luis Torres for questioning. The crew was carrying $1,286 worth of coats and hats shoplifted from Marshalls at 600 North Michigan, luggage worth $540 that was shoplifted from TJ Maxx at 11 North State, and 11 hats worth $246 stolen from vans at 500 North Michigan, according to the arrest reports. They are each charged with 2 felony counts of retail theft and 1 misdemeanor count of retail theft. The arrests are the second for Ascanio and Rodriguez, according to CPD records. Ascanio was charged with misdemeanor retail theft on October 20th after a Nordstrom Rack employee accused her of stealing a bottle of Hugo Boss perfume and a yellow ring from the company's Loop location. The case is still pending. Rodriguez was arrested on October 2nd, 13 days after he arrived in Chicago. Listen to that. This person wasn't even there for a complete 2 weeks, because we all know a complete 2 weeks, all 7 days, 7 times 2 is 14. They weren't there for a whole entire 2 weeks before they started to do their thing. When a Macy's employee accused him of stealing a backpack and headband from the State Street store, prosecutors dropped the case on November 17th. See, again, they keep dropping these cases, and what I just read to you was separate from the initial video, the initial topic. This was a whole separate crop of people right here. Again, theft, robbery, thieves. These department stores, they are hitting them hard because a lot of these places are in distance for them to get to. Remember, they said they got on a bus, and luckily the bus driver used their wherewithal to say, wait a minute, something doesn't seem right. Why are the sensor tags still on there? And usually when people go shopping to these stores like that, they will put their items in a bag, but they went out of the store with their items in hand. That's another suspicious thing for me. If you're buying a bunch of clothing items from a lot of these stores, the stores have shopping bags. You can put the items in a bag. If you are walking out of a store with a handful of clothes, even if I don't see a tag or the sensor, my antennas will go up. Eyebrows will be raised. It'll be a red flag for me, saying something really doesn't seem right here. Why are they walking out of the store with a handful of clothes and there's no bag? So thankfully, the bus drivers, use their thinking cap and says, okay, something just seems kind of odd here. But man, I'm telling y'all, and like I said, the prosecutors yet again in this particular case dropped it again. Not for this is a separate one. But this is the thing, they are allowing them to just come over here and do what they want. This is what Rob talks about on his undocumented channel all the time when he's talking about the undocumented bros, and shout out to Rob for doing those series of videos. This is what doesn't get talked about. What they love to talk about is how they're coming over across this border, and they should, because that needs to have a bird's eye view lens on it to see what's coming over here. But they also need to focus on what's going on in these cities. You know, you have a lot, I don't know if y'all saw it or not, but you know, with the sanctuary cities and whatnot, a lot of the politicians up there, those wanting those wards, they basically are telling the people who live there, the taxpayers, you know, we don't care what you think, we're going to allow them to continue to live here. I think they did something recently, and someone can correct me if I'm wrong or expound on it, where they shut it down and basically saying we're going to still allow this to operate as a sanctuary city. This is happening in Chicago right now as we speak. This is what's going on. And these politicians up there, not even just Brandon Johnson, but all of those who run a ward up there for the most part, I saw a whole thread of them the other day, literally are on board with allowing them to continue to come in and continue to just squat. But also along with that, you're bringing in a criminal element like what's going on. These stores are not being protected from them when they go in there and steal. And then on top of that, the prosecutors aren't doing anything because they're continuing to let them go. So what's that going to tell the next person? Oh, well, since nothing happened to them, I guess I can try my luck and see what happens with me and hope that, you know, hope for the best. And maybe if I'm lucky, nothing will happen to me. And it's a trickle down effect. It's a domino effect. And now a lot of stuff starts to get affected by what they are doing. It's chaos. That's probably one of the best words I can use to describe this situation right here. It is straight up chaotic, and they don't have a grip on it because they continue to allow them to come in droves. I don't know how much longer Chicago, and I'm focusing on Chicago because that's the topic of discussion as far as the city goes, can withstand that or can deal with this. They can't go, in my opinion, they can't even go another day with this. Based on some of the numbers that I've heard that continue to flood that city every single day. It's gone beyond how many come per month or how many come per week. It's now gotten to the point where how many come per day, which is thousands. And then on top of that, some of them ones that's coming over here aren't even necessarily all coming from like Venezuela. Some of them are even coming as far as from China. I've heard that too. Like they literally are coming. It's like a one big open door policy. At this point, why even have border patrol? At this point, why even have some kind of a wall or a barrier? What's the point? You're just going to open it up and just let them walk and waltz and run and crawl right on in. At this point. But yeah, it's crazy out here. I don't know what's going to happen. The people of Chicago, I'm glad they continue to like push back against it. But the thing is, the more they push back, the more those quote unquote lawmakers up there push back against them. And because they are the lawmakers, they have the final say. I told somebody the other day on Twitter, the pen is indeed mightier than the sword. As a child, when I heard that, I didn't understand what that meant. Because, you know, I'm like, what? Why would anyone say that the pen is mightier than the sword? Anyone with a pen in their hand could definitely get slayed by anyone with a sword. But when you get older and you understand, it now makes sense. The lawmakers are the ones holding the pen. They're the one that sign the legislations. They're the one that makes things into bills or bills become into law. You can hold a sword all day, but the thing is, by the time you get one swipe of that sword, that pen has already signed something on a document. Now you might have taken out the person with that sword, but guess what? Whatever's on that document that was written by that pen, whatever was swiped down on that pen, by the time that ink dries or even before it dries, new laws have been passed. A new bill has been pushed. New legislation is incoming. I'm telling y'all, I don't know what the people of Chicago is going to have to do. I mean, I applaud them for doing whatever they can right now, but there needs to be more. It has to definitely be more because it's Chicago and New York today, but what other place is it going to be tomorrow? I actually just recently heard out in Denver, they getting flooded with people out there. It's so packed, in fact, that they can't even contain most of the people out there anymore. They basically saying it's full of some of these hotels. Yes, I said hotels, not shelters. It's gotten to that point. So yeah, I don't know what's going to end up happening at this point. I wish I could see into the future to see what this is, but honestly, with how everything's going on right now in this present, I'm even scared to even want to know what the future holds.
Tags on it. Rip all that stuff off. See that? That's got tags on it, man. There, man. There, see that?
Units 11 citywide, we got a shot spotter, 819 North Trumbull, 819 North Trumbull for 3 rounds in the alley, nothing further, no 10.
3972.